Trules is an original. He turns his vivid writing into dark comic lacerations. Building to the cosmic, his work reverberates with grit. LA Times. Please welcome Eric Trules.
Oh my God. Here we are. There you are. Here I am. I know most of you in the room, so thanks for coming. I really appreciate it. Thanks to Eve for inviting me. This is a great hallowed room. I've been here before, but never by myself. So I hope I fill up the space and we go on a journey together. Okay, that's my idea. The goods are in here. Where's this from? Bali? No, not even close. Close. Southeast Asia. No. Luang Prabang. What did he say, Bert? Luang Prabang in Laos. So Eve gave me this evening of Eric Trules, and that's a scary proposition, right? To have an evening of your own and decide what the fuck you want to do. So I decided that I would do travel stories, because some of you know I've been blogging on the web before there were blogs. Since '99, I think I've been sending emails back from little shitty tiny internet shops way before smartphones, like in Siem Reap, Cambodia. Tiny shitty little connection. But, you know, I'd send these stories. The first one I'm going to read is one of those stories. And I felt connected to the people I was mailing to. You know, they'd mail me back. I'd ask them the NBA scores because I didn't know how to go to NBA.com. And the Lakers were winning in those days. 90, 91, 92. Shaq, Kobe Gasol, Kobe 36 and a half, Achilles, knees. He's finished. Let's give it up, you know. He was a great hero of our city, but he's finished. Anyway, I hope to take you on this little trip, okay? And they're going to give me a hook at, I think, 75 minutes. That's a long time. So I'm going to try to give you an option of whether I should shut the fuck up or keep going. And I know a lot of you will have a very strong opinion.
Keep going, Eric.
Huh?
Keep going.
Keep going. I haven't started yet. Told you, Bert. I don't have a harmonica. Listen up now. The mighty Mekong. June 17th, 2000. Chiang Kong, Thailand. Ahoy, you landlubbers! I said ahoy! Ahoy! Not bad, let's try it again. Ahoy, you landlubbers! Ahoy! That's good. I'm back! I know, you didn't know I was fucking gone. But hell, I've been on the slow boat. Not to China, but to Thailand, mateys, and Lao. That's what they call Laos here. Lao, as in wow. I've been up the mighty Mekong for the last 2 fucking days. Long, beautiful Tom Sawyer Apocalypse now. Days on the mighty, muddy, mellifluous Mekong. You should have seen the boat, mateys. A blue clapboard low, as in wow. Flat top, tin roof, diesel puffing, tug, ferry, dinosaur, huffing and puffing her way up the mighty Mekong, as opposed to down the mighty Mekong. That is, against the flow, mateys, as opposed to with the flow. Sounds just like me, right, Charles? Anyway, she was a beaut. And although they tried to keep me off the tin roof, it was just not possible. I mean, what are you supposed to do? Just sit there in the tiny hard wooden benches with a hoi polloi for 48 hours straight while the sun and the rain and the river and the shining and the pouring are just rushing by? No, not me, mateys. I was there. Bly, Kurtz, Conrad, the only passenger really into the river, watching it swirl and change currents every few kinetic and frenetically alive nanoseconds. The simply clad Lao, as in wow, peasant captain commandeering the ship like Chris Columbus or Ferdy Magellan, any one of those mighty river conquistadoring, syphilis-spreading Spanish sea pilots. But this guy, our guy, had the touch, had the diesel monster humming along in sonorous symphonic perfection, yet never loud enough to drown out the pervasive and even more sonorous cricket, 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 cricket. Jungle rhapsody coming over the transom in four-part harmony from the mucho verdant shores of the surrounding jungle. Tall green shoreline grasses, banana, coconut, frond leaf palms, hardwood teaks, rattans, and bamboos, cicadas, gibbons, monkeys, monitor lizards, a million more other species I wish I had the pleasure of acquaintance, all busting a rhyme, singing sexy solos, and careening collaboratives, choruses from the million-eyed insect jungle. Wow, as in wow, orchestra. Wet, pregnant rain clouds hovering over and then enveloping soft green mountaintops like tender lovers. The peaks bursting the soft gray sky into torrential downpourings of monsoon madness, bombarding the tin roof like machine gun fire or McCoy Tyner on the jazz piano keys, me not knowing which metaphor to follow. The Marty Sheen dead-eyed soldier of paradise lost upriver looking for apocalyptic dead-a-ride but far crazier cave-dwelling Brando Kurtz metaphor. Or the Tom Sawyer Huck Finn Mighty Mississippi metaphor. Joni Mitchell, I'm a free man in Paris, happy and alive. Doesn't matter, does it, mateys? Because all my fellow international travelers, German, Swiss, French, Swedish, Greek, they're all buried in their guidebooks, their travel novellas, trying so nonchalantly to avoid the boredom of the long, somnambulant river days. Me, I'm just riding the wave, the ripples in the muddy Mekong, feeling separate and alone, one of the flotsam and jetsam broken off tree logs, swirling hither and thither, no keel to my course, just at the omnipotent beck and call of the river. Until 3 days later, I'm out of Lao, as in wow. I'm back in better taste in Thailand, cruising along the mighty Mekong, but this time I'm landlocked on my rented 100cc mini motorbike, chewing on hard, stringy sugar cane, leaning into the winding Thai roads, open full throttle off to the poppy field, hill country tomorrow for the Golden Triangle. Ever hear of that? Burma, Laos, Thailand, where they grow the sweet brown-eyed poppies. Hope to try something I haven't ever tried before. All right, got it? Put that in your pipe and smoke it. Here's hoping the grass is growing green through your weeds. Love, Mekong, Marlin. This was written a year before. That was written 2000 if you didn't catch it. This is written a year before, but I think I wrote it later. It's a different style. It's part of a long manuscript called Grazing with Camels. It's May 1999. Israel. Ehud Barak has just been elected prime minister. Appeared in Rabin Square in Tel Aviv at 3 in the morning, and the Israelis are optimistic again. There will be peace. Travel is easy in 1999, and I have this idea to go out into the desert. As in Sinai Desert, as in camels, Bedouins, Moses, the Red Sea, the 10 fucking commandments. Because the Sinai is to Israelis as Baja is to Angelinos. A quick tourist hop over the border, but with aquamarine coral reef seawaters, rugged rust and sand-colored hills, jutting into the intense blue sky, hot, desert-baking suns sapping all logic and ambition out of you, strains of tabla and oud music tickling the air, lines of primitive straw Bedouin huts called hushas, dotting the sand. Remember that. Dotting the sand and stone shore for 100 miles on end. The best of Israel comes down here to escape the life and death intensity of their existential day-to-days. Unwinding, de-stressing, until one day melts into another. Then into a week. When suddenly you find yourself ticking to a different clock. The suns, the earths, the seas, where the Sinai slows you down until time is lost. And you have no desire to return to that careful and clever thing we invented, civilization. I bussed south from Jerusalem through the Negev, crossed the still friendly border at Eilat, and taxied down to a small Bedouin camp on the Red Sea called Rosh Essetan, head of the devil, where I've come to lie around in the heat of the day with alternative Tel Aviv types, eating hummus, tahina, slurping mint tea, playing backgammon, reading Amos Oz and Naguib Mahfouz. Until I get the lazy urge to put on a mask and snorkel. Walk down 20 yards from my husha into the salty Red Sea and marvel at the fan-shaped, moving coral reef. I swim with the fishes, God-painted and neon-lit creatures, making me feel either like Jacques Cousteau or one of the fishes themselves. At night, I adventure out for a mini history lesson to see what those parting the Red Sea Jews experienced for 40 years before reaching the Promised Land. I speak to my new Bedouin friend, swarthy, cool Adnan. Hey, Adnan, my man, can you take me for a 2-day overnight camel safari out into the great Sinai, where I can walk in the steps of Moses and Joshua and sleep under the dark, infinite sky of the nomadic Bedouin? Trules, my man, you have to round up 4 more adventurers for this camel safari you want to take, because we must take 5 camels and 6 drivers. Enough food, blankets, and supplies for both riders and drivers to make this trip worthwhile, if you know what I mean, my man. And so I do, because I do know what he means. I round up 2 stiff-lipped Israeli soldiers on holiday, and an adventurous Italian painter and his Brazilian girlfriend. And the 5 of us go with Adnan and his 6 camel drivers on a 2-day camel safari overnight into the Sinai. Our plan is to slow down and uncivilize ourselves enough to recalibrate our souls, to sleep in the cool night air of the biblical diamond-starred sky. No tools, no agenda, no anything. Just life. It's dark now. Very dark. Night 1. Our 5 camels are parked about 3 miles into the Sinai Canyon. The hairy beasts are kneeling, sleeping in the sand, making a variety of obscene, grunting, farting noises under an otherwise noiseless starlit sky. The ride has been bumpy. I've been squeezed into a camel saddle about half the size I need. No room for me to sit frontward without comical genital pain. So I've ridden Bedouin style, sitting 3/4 sideways with both legs draping over to the right of the camel. After about 10 minutes, it's inordinately painful. My ass is killing me, and by the end of the day, we've gone only about 5 miles. But Adnan and his 6 camel drivers had made life and comfort out of the desert thin air. No tools, just found sticks, rocks, shrubs, stones, and a Zippo lighter. And we're sitting around a roaring fire on 10 multicolored blankets. We're eating a tasty macaroni and canned tuna casserole, drinking bottled water that the camel drivers have carried for us, and we're singing some kind of simple Arabic melody under a magnificent desert sky. Yachum, 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 yachum. We even have a little local herb for a nightcap. There are no borders, no politics, not even, according to Adnan, any religion. It's the way people have lived in this desert for thousands of years. Nomadic, respectful, dependent, and cooperative with the land. The next day, we're up at dawn. The sky is gray, but the air is dry and already way too warm. The camel crew is packing up our gear, loading down our beasts of burden with hundreds of pounds of blankets, food, water, and even our used trash. I learned how to make a camel both sit and run. The first command sounds like this. Sit, beast, sit. The second sound is a sloppy intake of air, and it sounds like this. I decide right then and there that I am going to teach every one of my USC students how to make a camel sit and how to run. Let's go, guys. All right. Before we set off on day 2, we have a few breadsticks and some local herbal tea. Then off we go into the land that Moses, Joshua, and the escape from Egypt Red Sea Jews wandered for 40 years. It's harsh and beautiful. Rocky red granite hills, life-devouring sun, occasionally merciful shade. Sometimes we have to walk through the narrow canyons that the camels can't fit through. The drivers take them off in the opposite direction until half an hour later they mysteriously reappear just beyond the impasse. Never have I appreciated a swallow of water as much as I have when those beastly camels show up again. Now it's midday. The sun is at its peak where it is the ruler of the Sinai. Adnan and his drivers track its course across the incandescent sky. They anticipate every angle of shade a cliff can provide. 2 hours later, we see a cluster of raggedy green palm and fig trees. It's a mirage, right? No, gringo. You're in the middle of the Sinai desert. It's an actual oasis. And Adnan is sitting on his haunches, mixing a combination of flour, salt, and water into sticky mounds of dough. It's as if our camels have been carrying the desert-proof ingredients in these carefully wrapped plastic bags for centuries. Another quick Zippo-lit fire in a 1,000-year-old blackened iron pan, and we have magically produced handmade pita. It's also miraculously delicious. It makes me think of the price we've paid for modern civilization, with its computers, its comforts and conveniences, its instant transportation and technology. Because here, in the middle of the desert, you become acutely aware of how much we've lost touch with nature and her elements: fire, air, earth, water, but also how we've lost touch with ourselves, with the very things that used to make us human. Using our hands to make things and to eat food, being reliant on our families and neighbors, attuning our lives to the cycles of the day, to the climate, to the seasons. Now other things make us human. Our materialism, our cyber technology, our politics, and our multinational prejudices. No longer are we dependent on the beauty or cycles of the moon, the changing of the tides, the rising and setting of the sun. Instead, we disrespect and ignore Mother Nature, and indeed ourselves. We've become victims of our own post-industrial technologies. Am I boring you? Sure, I know the other side. That was so much more comfortable, more knowledgeable. We can live decades longer. We're more scientifically and philosophically evolved, more politically correct. We have women's rights and gay marriage, sometimes civil rights, and sometimes we take better care of the environment. But We've lost our sense of awe in the power of the natural universe, in its magic, in its wrath. We've lost community and family, our interdependence on one another. Okay. Somehow we make it through the scorching day, and now we're camel camp for our second night. We're sitting around another Zippo-lit fire on our mismatched sleeping blankets, watching the huge orange moon rise over the Gulf of Aqaba. There are showers of stars in the sky. The moon's reflection is dancing off the water to the oriental sounds of an Egyptian oud and a Turkish finger drum. We're taking our turns around a sweet-smelling nargila pipe, and I am experiencing a grateful and rare feeling of contentment, perhaps even one of Spaulding's perfect moments. And now, it's over 15 years later, Peggy. There are no more friendly Israeli borders. Mr. Sharon and Mr. Arafat are both long gone. Ras Eshatan has been bombed to smithereens by Islamic terrorists. And terror and anger explode daily in Palestine, Israel, and in the Sinai. There's bloodshed everywhere and no peace and no trust in sight. Only hatred and history. I think maybe we should all go out into the desert. Take a camel safari. Forget about the international borders and the impotent mediators, and we should all just see how much we all have in common. Love from the Sinai, El Arik of the desert. Yeah. Okay, it's going to take a violent turn towards almost a two-person show. Look out. It's 8:30 in the morning. Wati and I have just arrived at the dusty colonial train station in Kota Kinabalu, the biggest town in East Malaysia on the island of Borneo. Wild, Peggy, wild. I'm here on a Fulbright grant for 4 months, just 4 months after 9/11. Friends have told me I'm crazy to have come here. They're worried about me. Maybe I'll be beheaded or crucified or whatever Muslims do to Jews in East Malaysia. But here I am. I just couldn't pass it up. I'm here to teach Muslim village students at an all-Islamic university how to become more themselves. Something definitely not encouraged in a conformist culture where everyone answers the muezzin's Friday call to prayer at the local mosque, where the imam harangues the congregation against George W. and satanic America, and where my university colleagues have the images of Osama bin Laden on their screensavers. Because the great bearded man is the only David in town to stand up to Goliath America. It's a little disconcerting at first, bin Laden on ubiquitous t-shirts in the malls, on the screensavers down the hall. But you know, we humans can get used to anything. So here we are at the dusty colonial train station to buy tickets to Tenam, a lazy mountain town about 30 twisting and turning miles uphill. Not so much because Tenam is a particularly interesting town, it is not, but because it's here that we can take the old Iron Horse. Remember that, Jim? One of the last British colonial Vulcan steam locomotives with the still operative North Borneo Railway. Ooh, I'm looking forward to it, to leaving the 21st century behind and entering the condescending but terribly efficient world of 1930s colonial Britain, where the brown-skinned Borneo natives smile a lot but can't be trusted, and the clever Brits have industriously managed to engineer a way through the untamed jungle, through the wild gorges and rivers. We follow the other white-skinned and gray-haired tourists to the resting Iron Horse. But when we show our tickets, we're asked to leave the apparently high-priced package tour group and move to another car with the brown-faced locals. The two cars look exactly the fucking same, with hard wooden torn green leather back seats, broken overhead fans, and the occasional missing window or two. But the grayheads have paid $160 for the round trip, catered lunch, and a morning trek, while Wati and I are just going one way with the locals for $4 each, because we're staying overnight and they don't sell round trips for more than a single day at a time. Wati, that's my wife now. She used to go by the name Wati, right? How many of you know that?
No.
Just a few. Now she goes by Surya, but her full name is Surya Wati. Wati means girl in Indonesia. She thought that was easier for you guys. Surya, you still can't say. You say like Surya, she went by Wati. Surya means sun in Indian and Indonesian, so it's girl of the sun. Very nice, right? Surya Wati. She went by Wati. We choose these two seats that seem to have the best chance of moving the stifling, humid air through the train car as we hear the railway whistle call us to battle at precisely 8:50 a.m. We lurch forward. The force of a sudden inertia literally knocks the breath out of me. We lurch again, this time into a violent and sudden stop. The effort obviously being too much for the temperamental Iron Horse, which seems to have a rhythm of its own. Lurch, start, lurch, stop, and so on up the hill. Wati and I sit there looking at each other. The train doesn't move. Doesn't matter how much you paid, we're all sweltering in the equatorial heat, and 5 minutes seems more like an hour in a sauna. So we grab our bags and, like Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, we jump from the train just as it makes a violent exit from the station. That's a lie. Actually, we just sit there and lurch, start, lurch, stop our way up the mountainside with the grayheads and everyone else on the train until we pass Beaufort along the old Papar River Road, which parallels the blue-green majesty of the South China Sea. Past groves of deep coconut, banana, and rubber trees, and stretches of untamed high-water grass chaparral. Oof. By 1 o'clock, the old Iron Horse has finally warmed up, so we're more chugging than lurching. Still, we can hear the old Iron Horse grinding metal gears every inch of the way. It bucks forward like a wild beast, crunching its cars back into each other, making hairpin turns along the steep river gorge in this wild eastern head-hunting, animist, colonial, North Bornean sort of way before the long civilized Anglicans taught the sky and river-worshipping heathens that it was better to replace their backward, bloodletting form of worship with the colonizers' much more reasonable one, in which an angry and punishing God produced an immaculately born son who was brutally nailed to a cross, thereby dying for their sins, but who had been also miraculously resurrected for theirs and the rest of the world's guaranteed salvation. This, of course, made a lot of sense to the heathens, who were forced, fooled, or convinced to convert to Christianity, put down their blowpipes, wear proper clothing, and to forget as much as possible about their pre-colonial animist ways. About 2.5 hours beyond Beaufort, the old iron horse suddenly starts coughing and sputtering into a series of dead stops. Not a good sign. Within 5 minutes, the entire North Borneo Railway crew of 5 uniformed trainmen makes its way forward to the engine car. And after a brief conference, Peggy, one of the bare-chested, tawny dudes climbs off the train with a blue plastic bucket in hand. He dips the bucket into one of the raging mountain streams, fills it with water, and climbs back onto the train to pour the cool elixir into the huffing and exhausted iron horse's steam engine's lungs. It works. The iron horse chugs itself another 15 or 20 minutes forward, at which point the ritual is repeated again and again. Unfortunately, the intervals are getting shorter and shorter as the incline gets steeper and steeper. And after about the 5th time, the train stops again, this time definitely and defiantly far out of range of any of the train-reviving river streams. The engine car conference goes on this time for about half an hour. We all sit there passively, sipping on our diminishing supply of bottled water. It is frigging hot, to say the least. Some of the local women even take off their omnipresent Islamic tudungs. Hot. It seems like we'll never be getting to Tenam. What are we supposed to do? Just sit here and roast to death? The bucket dude is just standing around looking down at the river below. There's a steep, unbroachable incline all along the track. But I see at one point, about car number 3, there's some concrete terracing that's been built down to the river. But the bucket dude is still looking down hopelessly. It seems to me, and who am I but a visiting American bule? Bule, that's gringo in Bahasa Indonesian for bule. It seems to me that if we form a line down the terraced incline to the river and pass the bucket up from the river to the engine, where he should be able to get the old iron horse running again. I asked Wati to translate my brilliant idea to the crew. She tells me to shut up and mind my own business. I don't. Naturally. And with a little well-practiced clown sign language and the help of another Indonesian passenger who gives me an enthusiastic thumbs up, we indeed form an indigenous and spontaneous bucket brigade. The blue bucket dude climbs all the way down to the riverbank. I follow, commandeering position number 2. And after some very reluctant volunteerism, we create a virtual lifeline of about 20 of us all the way from the river to the steam engine. I even get them to produce a second blue plastic bucket. And with its help, and a little improvised international teamwork, including that of my suddenly enthusiastic one-day wife-to-be, we soon have the old tired iron horse back on her old tired legs, huffing and puffing her way along the track. Finally, after this miraculously boule-led reversal of fortune, the last stretch of Tenam is mercifully traversed. And we all detrain only about 3 hours after our scheduled arrival time. Perhaps not very British, but hey, sometimes you just take what you can get. And you know what? I can't speak for the others, and I don't imagine they'd concur, but this train ride, along with the frozen tundra Oslo to Bergen train ride across the frozen Norway glacier, this train ride has been the best train ride of my life. Yeah. Love from the wilds of East Malaysia, Borneo Bill. How am I doing, Bill? I'm watching you, Peggy. I'm watching you. Okay, this says it all. Any questions? Teachers are always supposed to be available for questions. I want to thank my first solo performance director, Charles Davis, out there. But that would be unkind to young Michael Arabian when he was young and did help me too. Isn't that right, Charles? And off in Nashville, Tennessee, making music now. Ed Coupe, he suffered too. Okay, you don't know any of those people. Love and the Devil's Nose. It's another continent, another train. Oh, I meant to tell you. This show is supposed to be called Wisdom Derived from On Top of and Inside Moving Vehicles and Animals. If you don't think it's good, come up with a better one. So it's another continent, another train, the train of life. Or specifically here in southern Ecuador. Summer 2003, it's called El Nariz del Diablo, Nose of the Devil. It's the wife's and my first extended trip since coming home 8 months ago from Malaysia. That's right, we're married now. February 14th, 2003, Valentine's Day. Ever the hopeless romantic. We went to City Hall near the LA airport for the ceremony. Our great friend Taj Mandela was our only guest, our witness, and our best man combined. Hey, after I waited 54 friggin' years to do it, no frills required. So now, post-honeymoon, we've spent a month in Peru, bussing through the Andes from Lima to Cusco to Machu Picchu, all the way north along the arid west coast with a little side trip to the Amazon jungle to a town called Iquitos. It's been a hell of a trip. The wife has already threatened to leave me and go back to LA 5 times. I don't know why. She keeps complaining about the all-night 14-hour bus trips through the twisting mountains with the local indigenos. Beautifully wrinkled women in gray bowler hats and colorfully woven sarapes. I think the trip's fantastic. She thinks it's hell. I guess the real problem is cultural. Surya. Now she's Surya Note. No longer Wati, Surya. That's right, grew up with a local indigenous tribe of her own in her native Sumatra. I grew up in the Long Island suburbs of New York, where the only indigenos were smart, fast-talking Jews, one smarter and faster talking than the other. I've spent my life escaping the conventional and boring suburbs. I like risk, adventure, traveling with the locals, staying in traditional longhouses. Surya, unsurprisingly, prefers the Marriott. or maybe the Ramada. Comfort, clean sheets, a good shower. You might say we're not well-suited traveling companions. Oh yeah, did I mention it was summer? In the southern hemisphere? In the Andes? The weather is freezing cold. What the hell was I thinking? How could I overlook that summer above the equator is winter below the equator? We brought summer clothes. No sweaters, no jackets. And we've been staying, of course, in budget hotels. Mostly without heat. We have to keep asking to rent a calefacción, an electric heater. And half the little hotels don't have one. I've already gotten sick with the flu. But hey, I've recovered. I mean, what the hell is the wife complaining about? Anyway, we're busing north along La Avenida de los Volcanos, Avenue of the Volcanoes, between Cuenca in the south of Ecuador and Quito in the north, all along the north-south Pan-American Highway. There is a long series of snow-capped volcanoes dominating the skyline for hundreds and hundreds of miles. It is magnifico. The problem is, I can't figure out where to take the Riobamba-Alausi Railway to find El Nariz del Diablo, the nose of the devil. The breathless railway track that the guidebook says, quote, an architectural feat of railroad acrobatics with the train ascends a perpendicular cliff along two 180-degree switchbacks, then actually descends caboose first into the canyon, end quote. Exciting, right? Right. Supposedly the train stops in a little town called Alausi on Wednesdays, Fridays, and Sundays. However, the exact time it actually stops there is unknown. But we do manage to get ourselves there on a Tuesday night, by bus, of course. The little village is tucked softly into the cradle of the central Andes, and it is definitely several paces slower than the rest of Ecuador. Very simple, very Catholic. You know, those Spanish conquistadors and Franciscan monks did a lot of damage to those Incan tribes like the ones here in Alausi. Raped, pillaged, and left their Jesus worshiping Catholicism behind them. But to us gringos, it looks pure, simple. Anyway, we seem to be two of the only 4 gringos to have come to Alausi. The other 2 are Steve and Jane from London, a marine biologist and his ex-lawyering wife, who seem to have read the same guidebook I have. So we meet and greet each other and all check into El Hotel Americano, supposedly the best hotel in town. Unfortunately, there are no keys or locks to the doors, although the hunchback proprietress assures us, no hay un problema, señor. Persona no steal nothing from the hotel, nunca. Never. Seems to be the only game in town, so we take 2 rooms and quickly go out to get a dinner of anorexic, poorly fed chicken with lumpy rice. When we come back, we discover no hay agua caliente 24 horas. No hot water 24 hours. But hey, what do you expect for $4 a night? Each. In the morning, we all hustle to the train station at 7 a.m. That's when the guidebook says the train leaves. But when we get there, we find out the train will actually be arriving from Riobamba in the north at 11 in the morning. So we buy 4 tickets and go back to the hotel. In the next 4 hours, Surya changes her mind about the trip 4 times, once per hour. Go by yourself. I'm not going. What do you mean? We came all this way. We have to go. No, go by yourself. Why? A logical but useless question if you know anything at all about marriage. So I go back to the boleteria, the ticket office, and surprisingly, the ticket dude takes back the ticket because now there are more than 50 people lined up at the window. He knows you won't have any trouble selling the ticket. I trudge back to the hotel, uphill all the way. Surya's changed her mind. Number 2, I want to go. What do you mean? I just sold your ticket. I want to go. Oy. I trudge back to the boleteria and somehow convince the ticket dude to sell me another ticket. But the wife has followed me and changed her mind again. Number 3, go by yourself. What are you talking about? I just bought you another ticket. I changed my mind. Go by yourself. This happens one more time. Go by yourself. I want to go. Okay, a woman's prerogative, right? Especially a Gemini woman. Finally, at 10:30 a.m., a train appears down the track. It's a single car, bright red, very clean. Looks like it came straight from the train museum. Suddenly, all 50 of us crowd around the single car, all trying to be amongst the first 20 or so who will be lucky enough to jump on the roof for the 2-hour trip. I mean, who wants to take a nariz del diablo cramped inside of an antiseptic red cable car? You can do that in San Francisco. We're all pushing and shoving to get on board when a woman in front of me with a thick French accent says, "Monsieur, non pas pour vous, c'est pour notre groupe." What are you talking about? I say. I was here 3 hours before you. I paid my money and I'm getting on the roof, s'il vous plaît. Madame complains loudly, and the conductor explains that oui, si, indeed this is a private car for a group of French tourists, and that the Riobamba train will be coming at 11 as scheduled. We all sigh in unison and allow the righteous frogs to board the red museum car. 11 o'clock comes and goes. That's for John Steinbeck. And goes. The natives are getting restless. I am getting restless. Finally, a few minutes after 12, the real Riobamba train arrives. Absolutely crammed with grumpy rooftop riders who have already bumped along for over 4 hours from Riobamba. There is absolutely no room for any of us, 50 of us, to get on an lousy. But hey, we paid our money and we are getting on that frigging train roof. We all push and shove and climb the old rickety ladder until, sure enough, we are all on the Riobamba-Olausi Railway heading towards El Nariz del Diablo. It's a perfectly clear, cloudless Ecuadorian day, and we're off with about 1,000 other backpackers, tourists, and travelers from all over our lonely planet. All on top of 5 sardine-packed, old-fashioned, well-rusted train cars. We're riding the Andean Skyway south to the nose of the devil. It's spectacular. The entire train, locomotive engine, 5 packed touring cars, and caboose crawls down the mountainside very slowly until the entire train passes another parallel track where the caboose starts leading the train back in the opposite direction, but still down the mountain. That's the switchback. And this happens 3 times. The train descends, engine leading, then caboose leading. 3 times until we reach the bottom, when they let us off the roof to stretch, give us some strange tasting cocoa tea to prevent altitude sickness, and then load us back on where the superhuman engineering feat is repeated, but this time up El Nariz del Diablo. Until, lurch. And suddenly, you guessed it, the train stops, dead, for 20 minutes. All the conductor dudes and engineers climb off the train to consult. Sound familiar, huh? Another crippled iron horse like the one in North Borneo, but no, this one is not a steam engine. We all settle in for the long haul. The weak among us climb off the train to pee, to take a photo, to pray to whoever it is they believe in. It seems that the second to last car has fallen off the track. Not a good sign. But suddenly, but as if by perfect Disney Ecuadorian party planning, there are train hawkers everywhere, selling banana chips and beef jerky and bottled water. Who knows? Maybe every Nariz del Diablo train derails at the bottom. But hey, I'm sitting there on the back of the roof thinking to myself, shit, ain't life like a great train ride? Uphill, downhill, switchbacks, on the track, off the track, lots of false starts, false stops, missed connections, changed minds, altered plans. In fact, a lot like a marriage. In fact, with twists and turns, challenges, threats, promises, tests, wrangles, eruptions, reconciliations, but always an endlessly unpredictable, turn yourself inside out, soul-searching journey, battle, friendship, partnership, war. Like sometimes just getting on the train, just getting to the altar takes all the guts you have. Of course, some people get on the marriage train blindly at a very young age and frequently end up in interchangeable sequence of serial monogamies. But those of us who've waited, who've resisted, who've held out, hell, we're in for the full Monty, mountain scaling, switchbacking, long-term kind of ride. Anyway, we're on this broken down train that has derailed, much like a marriage does at times. We're trying to rescale the mountainside, much like having to rework a marriage after an awkward little tiff, or perhaps after a more painful, more volcanic eruption. Many of us are wondering if the train is ever going to get the hell back on the track. Ever again. Some of us, the weak, have bailed already. They're trudging up the mountain, walking along the track, trying to get back to a lousy by foot. But most of us are just sitting there, still on the train, still thinking, still hoping the train is going to start up again. Or it won't. Some of us are pissed off. What kind of fucking Ecuadorian feat of super engineering is this? Others of us are afraid. The entire fucking train is going to plummet off the side of this devil's mountain. Still others of us, myself included, are simply having a good time. It's a sunny day. We're in southern Ecuador, doing El Nariz del Diablo. And this is all just part of the ride, all just part of the ride. I mean, hey, trains, marriages are fucking difficult to manage sometimes. As in, always difficult to manage. But what's the alternative? Stay home? Don't get married? Get divorced when it gets hard? Shit. Like I said, it took me 54 years to finally get married. And okay, I didn't make it any easier on myself by marrying someone from another culture, someone 30 years younger than myself, someone who speaks a different language than me and is still learning mine, not to mention she's a Gemini and changes her mind every other micro minute. But hey, how's your marriage? Any easier? How was it in the beginning? How is it now? Challenging? I'll bet. Heartaches? Derailings? But not without its joys, miracles, discoveries, gratitudes. Am I right? I mean, am I right? And then guess what? Somehow, miraculously, the train gets back on the track. We start moving up mountain again, and along the 180-degree switchbacks, we even pick up those cowardly and undeserving hoofing mutineers. Because life is like that. A great perpendicular train ride. Or at least my life is. And whether due to the miracle of Ecuadorian engineering or due to our tenacious, problematic love and commitment, so is our marriage. Surya's and mine, back on track. Huffing and puffing our way north towards Quito and Los Angeles and Indonesia and towards the guaranteed unknown future. Yep, life, love, marriage, nose of the devil, and our own frail human choices all make it that way. Love, from my nose to yours, Don Enrique of the Switchbacks. Okay, it's time for you opinion makers. I have two more pieces. And the last one, of course, is the best. But this one here is in India, and it's about a bus ride down a mountainside, and it's terrifying. Eve has heard it before. Charlie Davis and Jenny Cairns have heard it before. But it's probably 10 minutes, so maybe I should just skip it. Skip it and then do the other one. Yeah. Do the last one. No. Do the last one. This one. What do you say, Eve? Okay. E-ticket to Techity. Here I am in the green, I'll do it fast. Here I am in the green highlands of southern India, solo for a change. The wife is home studying or working hard in L.A. Me, I'm in lovely, luscious Kerala, southern India. It's July 2006, and I've come to the Western Ghats, to Munnar, a small town high up in the mountains by a 5-hour local bus. No windows, just fresh air and the wet green countryside about 6 inches from my face. Munnar is another name for Shangri-La, God's little piece of Indian heaven. Mile-high acres of green-groomed man-made tea plantations, black tea, Marsala spice tea, cardamom tea. The plantations are an organic red earth green grass checkerboard covering hillsides farther than the eye can see. They go on, and if you lie there in the green grass and in the wet silence, you think you've died and gone to Indian heaven with holy cows and holy cow dung everywhere. This time of year, summer. The monsoon is still here, and it dumps 15 minutes of torrential rain at a time, creating mudslide after mudslide as the monsoon sweeps right through the houses at the bottom of the hill, creating havoc and death. They had a Hindu memorial service for the dead just yesterday. But today, I'm on the local bus from Munnar to Techity, from mountainous tea plantation back to sea level rainforest. The trip is straight downhill as the climate changes radically from chilly, damp mountain air to wet jungle swamp again, complete with banana and coconut palms, teak trees and spice plantations full of coffee, cardamom, vanilla, allspice. It's a spice, allspice. Pepper and lemongrass, all sprawling down the wet mountainside. The only problem is the downhill part. You see, I'm sitting in the very front seat to the left of the bus driver, who's sitting to my right, so I can keep an eye on my 3 bags, which are chained to the metal bar right in front of the big glass window. That's right, it's a drive on your left country. Fortunately, I boarded the bus half an hour early because the bus is leaving the depot 15 minutes early. What the hell? What about the customers who actually come on time? Tough noogies, eh? The bus starts climbing out of Munnar as fast as its old rickety frame can go. It's a major uphill climb just to get out of town. And the road, I swear, is built for one lane of traffic only. No problem, though, because the hell-bent bus driver just passes everything in sight. Cars, auto rickshaws, lorries, other buses, cows. He simply blows his horn twice and steps on the gas. Doesn't seem to matter whether he can see around a curve or not. He just guns the pedal to the metal and overtakes everything on the goddamn road. I'm looking out the front window as I'm in an American driver's seat, and shit, I am petrified. There are 180-degree switchbacks again. You heard of those, right? I mean, but these are different in India because now the entire road is wet, muddy, slick. On top of that, it's devastated by loose rocks and barren dirt patches. Still, the intrepid and glowering bus driver guns the bus uphill into the mist because now we're above the clouds. We're passing luxury tea resorts with names like Cloud 9 and Heaven's Gate. And I'm getting distinct feeling that I'm not heading in an earthly direction at all. Finally, after much bumping and bruising, we reach the summit where the real fun begins, the descent. It's the e-ticket to Techity, and it is completely terrifying. Of course, not for the bus driver. Hey, he's not afraid. He does this every day. Me? I'm just a one-time rider, and holy shit, fuck, piss, he's hurtling the bus down the mountainside way too fast. Both my hands and arms are gripping the steel handrails in front of the window as I'm jerked back and forth, left and right. I'm using my legs, my torsos, my shoulders, my hands and arms, all my muscles just to keep myself upright and go with the flow of the bus. Every now and then, the mad driver stops the bus abruptly to pick up new passengers on the side of the road. And so the 40-person bus has 120 people on it. And with the extra weight and the magic of centrifugal force, the bus starts to feel like one of those cartoon buses or trucks that sways about a mile off the side of the road of the mountain before it rubber bands itself back onto the road. It does this over and over again for about 3 hours of non-stop switchbacking down this frigging mountain from Munnar to Techity. About every fifth turn or so, I just close my eyes as we head into the turn, wondering if I'll ever open them again. Oh shit, we are not going to make this one. I squeeze my eyes tight, and just like you're supposed to, I see my whole life flash before me. My midnight to 2 a.m. drive to Martha's Vineyard on the Mass Pike through that thickest fog I've ever seen. My horrific drive over the Continental Divide through Colorado's ice-packed Rockies in mid-December in my Uncle Herbie's pathetic gray Datsun. I see my 2 calamitous motorcycle accidents. The first on my little Honda 350 on Long Island when I was stupidly standing on one leg like Dennis Hopper in Easy Rider. And the second one in the Lake Toba Hills of central Sumatra, where I had to be picked up off the dirt road by the laughing locals and brought to the local shaman, who treated my legs with salves and leaves so they'd heal quickly and wouldn't leave such bad scars, which they did anyway. When I opened my eyes again, I'm still alive. I think, but we're still hurtling down the mountainside to Techity. I can't stop thinking about my impending death, like how and where are they going to find my body? In a tangled busload of crumpled steel and mangled bodies? I mean, how will they identify me? Will my passport still be in my bloodied Madras shorts? Or will somebody already have stolen it? And does my crummy insurance cover my repatriated remains shipped back to safe and sanitized La La Land? And what will my obituary say? Here lies Trules, self-proclaimed adventurer, narcissist to the end. No, fuck that! I've only gotten what I deserve. One smart-ass traveling Jew roaming one too many times into the third world, thinking he's Mr. Cool, Mr. Invincible, Mr. Hey, don't you got no respect for this wild woolly world of the far out, far east? Who the fuck do you think you are anyway, Mr. Cowboy Gora Gringo Hotshot, huh? And we're still hurtling down the mountainside. When a whole school full of brown, beautiful-skinned children board the bus, making us about 140 people now, but still with one seat open, the one next to me, because apparently no one wants to sit next to the Gora, Indian gringo, because he's white and funny-looking and maybe dangerous, or at least he's different and scary, and we'd rather just stand and laugh self-consciously at him. Thank you very much. But then some of the kids start falling down on one of Mr. Ralph Cramden maniac bus driver's crazy turns, and one particularly cute brown-eyed boy starts to cry hard. And a sari-clad woman sitting there scoops him up on her lap and sits the kid down next to me on the single empty seat. Everyone is staring at me. When I realize that I'm the e-ticket for these kids, for these bus riders. They've never been so close to a white-skinned, big-nosed Gora before. And then one kid dares another kid, Peggy, to touch me or talk to me or something with me. And the formerly crying kid sitting next to me takes the dare. He reaches out and touches my smiling face. And then we all smile. Everyone on the bus smiles. And we ask each other's names. And I make big, silly, ridiculous clown faces at them all. Although I'm still thinking about death. Smiling now, but thinking about my 89-year-old father who has congestive heart failure and is taking another step closer to death each day, while he and his generation are also miserably afraid of dying. And me and my generation are also afraid of letting them go, while equally afraid of our own deaths, while these placid, smiling, friendly, and fatalistic Indian people see death and dying every day of their lives. And they are so even-keeled and calm and accepting of death, whether it's by murder or sickness or train bombs or a tsunami or bus. More calm and even-keeled and accepting than we in the West will ever be. And I'm hurtling down the mountainside to Tekati, knowing I've already survived cancer, remembering the first the fear, then the surrender to my own mortality, and the wonderful roller coaster ride of having 6 months of chemotherapy, with emotions and feelings completely out of control, remembering seeing the fear on my friends' and family's faces, thinking that I would pack it all in right then and there, way back in 1989. Remembering how I learned to appreciate all that I had in my life. Remembering how I learned to appreciate all that I had in my life instead of obsessing on all that I didn't have, all that I wanted. And I remember all that jazz, and I just instruct myself to simply let go. to surrender again, to simply enjoy the ride. It's out of my control. It's in Mr. Maniac Ralph Cramden's strong, capable hands, not mine. And I instruct myself to put my surrender where my mouth is. I'm the one who asked for the e-ticket to Techity. I'm the narcissist Gora cowboy taking third world chances with my own life. So I just smile and laugh with the kids. And before I know it, we've come down the mountainside, and I'm the only Gora getting off the bus in Techity. Shh. And as soon as I do get off the bus, there's another local tout willing and ready to take me to the next little homestay or B&B, not Airbnb, and to the elephant and tiger sanctuary the next day in the Periyar Wildlife Preserve, and to all the tempting Kashmiri shops in a town where they know I'll be a soft touch and buy another silver necklace for my lovely wife. And so on down the mountainside of life. The weather's hot and steamy again, and soon I'll be heading back to the peaceful and laid-back backwaters of Alleppey, still in the heart of Kerala, where I can just sit back and watch the river flow. Love from the big bad bus of life, the Techity Kid. Okay, we're coming into the home stretch. Better water up, huh? Yeah. Wow. Okay. 9 lives times 2. And good karma. Early May 2012. Denpasar, Bali, Indonesia. Breathe. It's springtime again. Another year in academia is mercifully, beautifully, and finally over. It's time to immerse myself again in the Asiatic void, where things are always too hot and you never know what kind of trouble lurks around the next bend. The wife's gone ahead to visit her family in Sumatra, and I've lagged behind by 3 weeks. I am raring to go. The plane lands in Denpasar after a 24-hour flight. I know that's why a lot of you won't go there. And plus an extra few hour layover in Taipei. I left on Sunday at 11 p.m. and I've arrived Tuesday afternoon at 2:30 p.m. Denpasar is the only international airport on the island of the gods. The wife is supposed to pick me up here and bring me to a charming little Hindu Bali hotel in Kuta Beach, the tourist capital of the island, not far from the airport. She did the same thing 12 years ago when I returned to Bali 6 months after first meeting her in June 2000. We met absolutely by accident and incident in front of a local bank's ATM when I asked the first 2 strangers I saw for directions to the local mall. She said, "I saw you." I said, "What?" She said, "I'll show you." And she's been showing me ever since. Yet somehow, with the 31 years between us and 13,000 miles of cultural and personal discrepancies, amazingly, she's still my wife. You should give her a hand there. She hates this. It's been a constant 12-year challenge of age, language, culture, patience, personality, and perseverance. But like I said, we're still together. And now I'm looking at my retirement and my third act. You know, Act 3 of a play. It follows its two predecessors. Act 1, which brilliantly sets up what's at stake for the protagonist, followed by Act 2, in which the play develops with tension and suspense as it builds in rising action when finally you have Act 3, the climax and resolution of the play. If it's a happy ending play, it's called a comedy. If it's a bummer of an ending, the play is called a tragedy. In either case, Act 3, the falling action and the end of the play. Now, being a theater professor for so many years, I naturally see my life as a play. Act 1, being born upside down and backwards, as only a clown should be, in suburban Jewish New York. Keep it down, please. Battling, much love, parental control, anti-Semitism, crippling social awkwardness, and repression. Got it? Act 1. Act 2, taking the road less traveled after not attending college graduation, unexpectedly becoming a dancer, clown, poet, taking another unexpected hard left turn towards very late marriage, while simultaneously surviving cancer, self-doubt, and the unexpected everything. Down the long and twisting road of life. But now what? Act 3. Approaching 65 years young. What road do I now go forward? Or maybe I should just stay where I am as long as possible. Limp my way to the finish line. Keep teaching at my comfortable creative university job until I slowly peter out in the professorial saddle. Keep renting my paradisical home in the Echo Park Hills until the owner decides my lease is up. Do I stay married? Childless? Become the last of the Trules? Or do I write a new third act with a different, more challenging ending in magical Bali? Maybe buy and develop some property to bring my friends from around the world to. Maybe have a second home in steamy paradise on my wife's side of the planet. Maybe become a father at 70 years young, like Chaplin and other clown innocents abroad. Become a stay-at-home John Lennon kind of dad. Maybe this, maybe that. So many possibilities. Knowing only too well that all third acts, all lives, no matter how well written, finally do end the same unavoidable, cruel, and beautiful way. Back to Bali. The Denpasar Airport, spring 2012. I don't see her. The wife. She's flown to Bali from Medan, her hometown in Sumatra, 3 weeks ago with her sister. And she's supposed to be here at the airport, but I don't see her. I walk back and forth along the passenger arrival area, but no wife. I wait half an hour. No wife. Then suddenly, there's her sister, Anna. Are you Trules? I recognize Anna from her Facebook pictures. Yeah, I am. Where's your sister? She in hospital. What? Yes, hospital with dengue fever. What? Dengue fever? That's the worst mosquito-borne virus in Asia. It has no pill or inoculation to prevent it. It's untreatable once you get it. It's so painful they call it bone crusher's disease. It's fatal in young children and old folks like me. But sometimes it's fatal in Stop. Anna, when did she go to the hospital? Today, 12 o'clock. Damn, that's 4 hours ago. I just got off the plane with Surya's friend Patricia, and here's my wife's sister and her Sumatran cousin telling my wife has dengue fever? The four of us, me, Anna, Patricia, and Irma, the cousin, jump into a taxi and we crawl our way through the suffocating Kuta traffic to the hotel where Surya's been staying until she went to the hospital 4 hours ago. We throw our bags into 3 different hotel rooms and quick we take another taxi back to Kasi Ibu, the hospital in Denpasar, back near the airport. The weather is steaming hot and the hospital's first floor is no relief, no aircon. It's brutal. How can anyone recover in a virus incubating sauna? Kasi Ibu means loving mother in Bahasa, Indonesia. But it looks more like a relic from Dutch colonial 1904. Tan wood, the smell of quinine, people dying of malaria. We get up to room 355, and there she is, my wife, lying under the sheets with a white hospital gown over her brown skin. She's on an intravenous drip, and she's seriously sick with dengue fever. For the next 7 days, she falls in and out of night sweats, fevers, painful bone-crushing headaches, and recurring nausea and vomiting. I watch her go through it all, sleeping on a 4-foot vinyl visitor's couch every night, and some nights, I don't think she's going to make it. Fortunately, Dr. Yoshi Aman is one of 2 specialists on infectious disease in all of Bali. And he assures me, the dengue is running its course, just wait, Mr. Trules. He says this every day. Her thrombocyte count very low, 26. Must be back to 100 before we release her. I Google thrombocyte, platelets, 150 to 200 is normal. The dengue-bearing mosquitoes have fucked with my wife's vascular system, eliminating her blood's ability to clot, risking brain bleeding, or if it's behind the eyes, even blindness. Oi, as we say in my tribe. Finally, after 5 days, the fever breaks. And after 2 more days on thrombocyte watch, Surya's count rises to 115. She can go home. But take it easy, Mrs. Trules. Some patients full recover right away. Some 2 months. Take it easy. We are out of there. One more of our collective 18 cat lives left on the hospital floor. We follow Dr. Aman's advice and lounge around Agung's bungalows and pool for the next 2 days. I even splurge for Agung's priciest bungalow, the honeymoon suite. It's nice. A green Hindu Bali cottage nestled back behind the crush and noise of the Kuta strip. Hey, the wife deserves a little luxury, huh? But Cholo Patricia, who's never been out of America before, has been holed up the whole dengue fever week with Indonesia Irma, who barely speaks a word of English. And both of them have severe cases of cabin fever. Surya feels obliged to show the girls the Bali she promised. So she even convinces me to pack up for a gentle little trip to Ubud. You know, the Eat, Pray, Love art capital of Bali in the center of the island? Ubud. Well, we do. Head north to Ubud with its Kechak monkey chant ceremonies, its friendly feed the animals monkey forest, its barong ballets with nubile adolescent girls seductively darting their eyes skyward and artfully separating their fingers in impossible Balinese ways. All of Ubud seems to be buried in art and ceremony with cement gray statues of pigs fucking everywhere. But I'm surprised when all three of the women want to leave Ubud after only one night. But we're supposed to take it easy, remember? No problem, Trules. I feel fine. Let's go. Okay. Obviously no arguing with the wife. Luckily, I found this little paradisical highway in Ahmed, up the quiet east coast of the island. It's called the Good Karma Bungalows and has cozy bamboo huts to chillax in, run by the infamous Buddha-like proprietor, appropriately named Baba. We get the townhouse bungalow with 2 single beds above for the girls and a king-size bed down below. Baba says, "Take look first, my bungalow very primitive." So we do, and what can I say? He's right. Flimsy bamboo walls and roof, 3 mosquito nets hand-hung over each bed, a cold water outdoor shower, no TV, no internet, no cell phone connection, nada. But Baba offers fresh squeezed tropical juice for breakfast. Watermelon, banana, coconut, mango, papaya. Along with delicious banana pancakes, snorkeling equipment for $3 a day, and random Hindu Bali ceremonies erupting daily. We chillax for the next 36 hours. We swim and snorkel, but then we stupidly decide to go on to one of those ceremonies, the one in which Baba himself will be beating a large taiko-looking Balinese drum. So the 4 of us head out. We walk north along the coast. Very short walk, impossible to miss tempo. Baba's words of wisdom, although he forgot to tell us how fucking hot it would be along the road. It's at least 32 degrees Celsius, 104 Fahrenheit. And maybe after a quarter of a mile, my body is dripping with sweat. I decide to abandon ship, go back to Good Karma and rent a motorbike. I love motorbikes. Don't do that. It's the wife. She says, don't do that. She wants me to come with her and the girls. I don't want to. We argue. You know the routine. Come on. She knows I love riding motorbikes in third world countries, being out in it along the banks of the Mekong and the Vietnam, leaning into the S-curves and the high tea plantations of Kerala, along the sweltering east coast of equatorial Bali in Ahmed. Who wants to schlep uphill into the dripping midday heat when you can simply bareback a bike and ride the wind to your heart's content? So back to Good Karma I go. But when I get there, there are no more bikes to rent. All the bules, Indonesian gringos, have already rented them. So I make my way over to the first warung. That's the local 7-Eleven. Where the sleepy owner, a woman, understands enough of my mime to dust off an old motorbike from her musty-smelling garage. It looks like it hasn't run in years, but hey, it's the only horse in town. She gives me the key, no helmet, a few throwaway comments in Indonesian, and off I go. I'm out in it again. Yeah. I turn up the throttle as I climb the same hill I just sweated my way up to 20 minutes ago. Yeah, I'm supposed to find the 3 princesses eating somewhere along the side of the road, so I gas the throttle and lean into an uphill curve. About 90 seconds after my first climb and descent, I see my first fellow motorbikers, a young local dude and his pal on the back. I'm coming up, they're coming down, so I pull over to the right. So does the other dude. That is, he pulls over to his left, my right. What the fuck? We're heading right into each other. We both swerve to try to avoid each other, and in the milliseconds before impact, my life doesn't flash before me. I think, what the fuck, you idiot? Don't you know the rules of the road? It's your fucking country. You bonehead local, what the fuck? Bam! Head on! I go down. They go down. The next thing I know, I'm lying on the ground next to my bike. My left groin hurts, so does my left hand. My glasses are gone, but I can see both boys are up on their feet. They're yelling something at me in Indonesian, and their fingers are going everywhere. Oh, shit. The reason the dude was swerving left and me right is that Bali is a drive on the left island. Fuck me. Not only was I driving on the wrong side of the road, but when I pulled over suddenly to the right to avoid impact, it was the wrong fucking way. God damn it. The accident is entirely my fault. Then, before I know it, there's a crowd of at least 30 locals surrounding the three of us. They're all buzzing like mosquitoes around fresh meat. Oh man, now what? Slowly, the driver dude approaches me in broken English. You drive right, yes? Yes, I admit. You pay, okay? No, asshole, I'm not going to admit guilt. I'm going to get the fuck out of Dodge as soon as possible. I'm going to call my insurance company. No, I can't do that. No, come on, man, own up. You're the bozo who pulled to the right instead of the left. How much is this going to cost you? I tell them to follow me back to Good Karma, but I can't pick my bike up off the ground. So the friend dude helps me pick up the carcass, which we inspect for damages, and it looks okay. I can't see a scratch on it. But then I walk over to the other bike, which is completely mangled. The plastic front wheel protector is split down the middle. The wheel fender is crushed into the tire. The gear shift is jammed, frozen. It looks expensive. I get back on my bike, but I sit behind the Balinese friend dude, a passenger on my own bike, Peggy. One of the local kids hands me my glasses. He's picked them up from the side of the road, and back we go, back to not very good karma. What the fuck just happened? In less than 4 minutes, I just had a violent head-on motorbike collision in a third world country. The same country where my wife's father lost his life in a head-on crash just like this when she was 16. I had no helmet, no knowledge of the rules of the road, just my boule American arrogance, too hot in the Balinese sweltering heat. The two biker boys want me to go to the local bengkel. Sounds like bank, right? I know, they want me to go to the nearest ATM machine and pay them millions of rupiah in damages. No bengkel, boys. We go, mechanic. Ah, I see. They want me to get an estimate from the local shyster, then go to the nearest ATM and pay the millions of rupiah in reparations. No mechanic. I need to wait for my wife. She's Indonesian. She can translate, okay? They have no idea what I just said. They keep repeating, bengkel, bengkel, bengkel. I got it, boys. I promise. You want me to come back to the bank. What the fuck? How do you know I'm Jewish or what? No, bengkel. I wait for wife. Paham. Paham, one of the 3 Indonesian words I know. It means understand. Bengkel, mister, you come. No, bengkel. Oy. I listen. Okay, listen. You come. Good karma. 5 o'clock. Good karma. 5 o'clock. They repeat like good students. So we agree. Now what? I walk back to Good Karma's juice bar. Baba is not there. He's probably still banging his drum at the ceremony, which I never made it to. Fortunately, his Japanese wife, Ako, is there, and she says very zenly, sit down, mister, don't worry, we fix all. Right. She leads me over to a carved wooden table and gets me a cold bottle of water. Suddenly, I get it. Just relax, man. You're on vacation in paradise. Your wife survived dengue fever. You're still married. The three princesses are off at the Baba banging ceremony. It's only money, man. Just pay it and be done with the whole fiasco. The less the wife knows about it, the better. I go back to my room with a cold bintang, Indonesian beer. I climb into the hammock on the front porch and I order a massage. $5. Feels great. I'm proud of myself. Don't worry. Be happy. Then comes the news from the boys who come at 4 o'clock, not 5 o'clock. Mr. Benkel wants 1,700,215 rupiah to fix the motorbike. They show me the itemized bill. I don't paham a fucking word. But I do what comes natural. I'll give Mr. Benkel 1,000,000 rupiah. $100. No, mister, you pay this one. They slapped the Benkel's bill furiously. No, 1 million, last price. They confer. I can see they paham. They slap the bill again. No, mister, this one. Fuck. 20 minutes later, the three princesses show up. They're hot, sweaty. Lunch was not very good. They never made it to the ceremony. Okay, you better sit down. And I proceed to tell the wife the whole death-defying tale. She says nothing. It's the Indonesian Batak way. You sit on your anger and fume for hours, for days, for weeks. She's just looking at me, but if looks can kill, she is clearly saying, another fine mess you've gotten yourself into, husband. But then she actually says, are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. Good. But I need your help with the Benkel. Again, silence. And then, don't pay the money. How can I not pay it? It was my fault. I just about totaled his bike. We go to Benkel together. But I don't understand one word on the bill. Let me see it. Surya grabs the bill. I know she's not going to paham it either. We're going to get into another huge fight. It'll take hours, be painful, almost kill us both. Look. I changed my mind. I'm just going to pay whatever they want. How much in US dollar? Less than 200. That's a lot of money. No, it's not. I totaled his bike. I just don't like them taking advantage of you because you're just a bule. Wow. That is one of the nicest things she's ever said. Look, just let's forget about it. It's not worth the time or the aggravation. Are you sure? Yes, otherwise I know we are going to get into a big fight with them and they're going to call the police and there'll be a fine and maybe I'll end up in jail and then we'll have to pay them off with a bribe and we'll still have to pay for the goddamn bike. I see her think and soften. She knows just how fucking corrupt her country is. From the government officials, to the police officers, to the thieves in the post office, to the shyster Benkel owners, which, by the way, doesn't mean bank at all. It means auto mechanic, as in go to the Benkel. Go to the auto mechanic, schmuck. Let's just cut our losses and enjoy the rest of the day. She looks me right into the eyes, into her tightwad Jew of a husband who is making a totally uncharacteristic but decisive move. Okay, she says, and I pay the money. And just like that, the entire Ahmed Benkel motorbike fiasco is over. I figure I'm lucky to be alive. I've left one more of our 18 collective cat lives on the Indonesian pavement, along with surviving cancer and dengue fever. We've just dodged another metaphysical bullet. Hey, we must be doing something right. Let's just call it good karma. Thank you all very much.